Hello. Oh, I can't hear you.
Right. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just gonna turn you up a bit.
No worries. Can you hear me okay?
Can't really hear you too good.
Can you hear me okay now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay. Just a second. Let me just adjust the volume here. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
All right. Okay. So, you know how it goes, Nick. So tell me your seeking story and what got you here.
Well, I had a decent childhood, but it kind of went off the rails when I was a teenager. I ended up, I've always kind of felt like I wasn't supposed to be here, I think. I always had that weird nagging
Mhm.
feeling. And then kind of all went off the rails as a teenager. Uh, did the usual like smoking weed, skateboarding, just trying to be a bit rebellious.
Mhm.
Um, and then just one thing after the other, I just got to the point where I was just like, I can't be bothered with this. It's
Mhm.
just doesn't feel like satisfying. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever you do, you're chasing the next high, and it's never like not in like a drug way, it's in like just experiences and whatnot. Um, and I just got to the point I was like, oh, this is really unfulfilling. To the point where after like a really bad breakup, I was like, I got to agoraphobia. Like, I wouldn't go out. I'd still be working, but I mean, my work's like 20-minute walk down the road. But I'd still get a taxi there and back. I just wouldn't interact with any one of them, my work friends. And I got to the point I was like, I can't live like this.
Mhm.
So good old YouTube therapy. Just go through all of YouTube, do little bits and pieces, get into self-improvement, just the usual stuff really. And then once once I got a bit better on that, I was like, I'll start looking for some answers. Uh, Meditated for 3 years straight, pretty much. Well, not straight, obviously, but 3 years, um, which did help a lot with like anxiety. I've always had like an undercurrent of anxiety and
Mhm.
fear for some reason. I don't really know whether it's the fear of death or I don't really know. But I just dropped out of meditation. It just something happened. Well, the funny thing was, I thought like I started doing binaural beats and stuff. I was like, oh, I'll open my third eye and it will solve everything.
Yeah.
And it just gave me a massive migraine until I stopped doing it. So, um, and then obviously more and more things keep popping up. I feel like
Mhm.
something's always guided me. There's always been like the next new things has popped up to help me a little bit on my journey, and then something else will pop up, and then something else will pop up. But at the same time, I'm just constantly seeking. I don't know whether that's a good thing, whether it's part of my journey or what. It just seems to be a never-ending thing, and I'm quite worried
Mhm.
now that I'm like, is this just going to be me until I'm like 75 on my deathbed and going, oh, I wish I would have just stuck with one thing, or I don't know. It's but I just don't seem to have answers. Like
Mhm.
I've done non-duality and people are like, "Oh, just ask yourself, who am I?" Okay, cool, do that for a bit. And you start branching out into different questions and then you're like, "Am I doing this right? I don't know." I can feel the awareness when I ask the question. I know I'm not supposed to get an answer. Um, but it just I don't know, it just seems never ending.
Yeah.
Um, and then recently I found David Bingham.
Mhm.
I've been doing his, but it's a case of, am I integrating it properly? I think my mind is very active, as in like, oh, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. Um, and I understand that intellectually that I'm not my thoughts. I
Mhm.
look after my mum, she's got schizophrenia. Um, Her thoughts clearly aren't her own.
Yeah.
Um, Well, obviously mine are though. It's kind of you always feel like, oh, you can see it on the outside. It's like, oh, she's identifying with thoughts that aren't her, and
Mhm.
yet you look at yourself and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm totally my thoughts though. And in reality, I don't feel that's true. However, I only know it intellectually, which I'd like to. I don't know. I'd like
Yeah.
to.
So how did you get here then? It's just through algorithm, I guess, from YouTube and
Yes.
yeah.
Literally everyone non-dual is popping up on my YouTube, to the point where kind of melting my brain, just going through YouTube. Um, but I think that's part of the problem as well.
Yeah.
Um, but there's so many people, and you seem to have a good different approach. Um, so here I am, I guess.
Okay. Well, it really boils down to this. It's quite simple, right? What do you believe in this very instance if you're not able to go to the past or the future? Just this very second.
I don't really know. The past and the future is my imagination, basically.
Yeah. So if you can go to the past or the future, the imaginary, what do you believe?
I don't really know.
Yeah. Okay. So who's the I that doesn't really know?
I don't know. I feel, to me, whenever I ask the questions, I just feel a feeling in my head.
Okay.
Is it my head? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So,
it's
so go ahead.
sorry, it's just like a silence. It's
Okay. So
just kind of a presence, maybe.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So that's really it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't put any more thought into it, basically, right? So there's a
Hmm.
directness. It's almost like a sobriety. It's like the mind can go to the present because it only really operates in the past and the future.
Hmm.
So it's catching it. You know what I'm saying? There's a subtle kind of like entryway into this directness. So what are you without language at this moment?
Couldn't say about language.
Is that
um, um, just the awareness.
okay? What if you unlabel the word awareness? What's left?
My mind comes up with other things, presence, a
Yeah.
feeling.
So what if you take away all the language? What's left? Just go directly into it. The mind wants to answer it, but it can't answer it because the mind's only tool is language, basically.
Hmm.
Right? So what if you take away all the language, all the words, all the definitions? What's left?
Just this.
Yeah. Okay. Is it non-duality unthinkable, unknowable, unspeakable?
Hmm.
Okay. So if there's no next, there's no past, then this has got to be it.
Hmm.
The mind just wants like a firework or a reference from the past, right? But if you take away the past and the future, then there's something here that cannot be said, but it's peaceful.
I feel like my mind wants to make this into a technique, as in
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Well, it's trying to go to the next, right?
yeah,
So where's the technique at this moment?
it would be like, oh, every time I get caught up in thought, I'd be like, oh, what's the mind without imagination, or what's the mind without language? And
Yeah. But the mind wants to answer that, right?
hmm,
So what if you just take away the language?
again, the mind is like, it wants to know how to. It's, I don't know,
What,
it's
what if you
sneaky.
what do you what if you take away the next? Then where's the mind? What if you take away the past? Where's the mind?
Yeah, it's just this.
Yeah. And again, you've been thinking for quite a while, right? And you've been seeking, probably in
Mhm.
YouTube, right? So
Yeah.
it's almost like seeking is almost like running the opposite direction of what's already here. So what's here is not really a location, not really a thought, not really a belief. It's like the absence of that, right?
Hmm.
And then there's a quietness that unfolds, right? If you don't engage in the mind trying to go to the next or to the past, right? And it's just quiet, it's just very subtle.
Yeah.
So if the past is a thought and the future is a thought or a belief, then it's got to be this. We just really get caught up in the mind over and over again, right? The moment that we think about the next, then we go into a rabbit hole trying to look for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the simplicity is quite obvious that if you're not able to go to the past or the future, then this has got to be it.
Yeah.
Mhm. But it's not what the mind wants, because the mind wants kind of like a position or a permanence or a location or something, right?
Hmm.
So what's here that you cannot think of?
Just this. Because
Mhm.
um, my mind's already trying to come in and say, like, oh,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
if
it's
you
okay.
lose?
It's okay. You know what? What's between just this and not just this?
Yeah, just this.
Mhm.
Feels quiet, but my mind just wants to butt in all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. You will try. You will try, but where is it? Where's the mind? If you
It
can go to
always
the
feels
past
in
or
my
the
head.
future. Yeah, what if that's just a belief? What are you without that belief? Because it's just a belief. Where's the head? It's just a word. You will come up with a word that makes you believe, you know what I'm saying? But what are you without the belief at this moment or any moment, basically?
Just this.
Yeah, and if all thoughts are made up because all words are fabrications, why do you think you keep on believing them?
It's very convincing sometimes.
Yeah, but who's convincing? Who's
Hmm.
convinced? So if you look at it, it's just a thought maintaining a thought. If you go in between thoughts, then there's just kind of like this peace, basically, or this silence.
Hmm.
We just get caught up in the thoughts, right? But the one that is getting caught up in a thought is just a thought. So a thought, believing a thought becomes a belief. A bunch of beliefs becomes a sense of identity. Like, I believe that it's in my head. But if you really investigate it really, really closely, that belief, that statement is just a belief, basically. If you look at a belief, it's just a thought. If you look at a thought, it's just made up of words. If you look at words, then you'll just come up with more words. It will just never be ending words after words after words, right? But if
Hmm.
you start seeing that words are all made up, tell me a word that's not made up. Yeah, tell me a language that's not made up.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's it. That's that simple. It's an unfolding, right? So it's not like a boom right away, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a slow awakening to a dream that you've been stuck for like 30, 20 years or something.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like slowly waking up into that clarity that doesn't have a language. Because the confusion or the feeling that I don't belong here is just a thought, basically. And you know what? That's the common thing that gets the people seeking. There's got
Yeah.
to be something better than this, right? There's a sense of lack, basically. There's
Yeah.
something missing here. There's something lacking. It's either I don't belong here or um, there's got to be something better than this. It's trying to go to the next so that you
Yeah.
don't catch that the thoughts are fabricated. So if you invest in the future, then the thought that's fabricated becomes reality. And when it becomes a belief, then it becomes a sense that, you know what, I believe this. But the I is a belief believing in a belief, right? So it's just really sobering up from all of this stuff and even sobering up from non-duality and all of those, inquiries and everything. It's almost kind of like having a life that is more clear again, a life that is more, spontaneous again. And then if you look at, I used to have severe anxiety, um, because I was always thinking of the next, the next, the next, the next. What if you eliminate the next? Is there a problem? No. If you take away the past, is there any issues? No. So it's just really continually kind of like being identified with what, just this over and over
Yeah.
and over again. So it's just this, just this, just this. How are you feeling, by the way, Nick?
Okay. Very clear, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Feels like there's, I don't know, like a presence. Feel
yeah,
more present.
yeah. And that's basically it. So it's
Yeah.
not. It's so simple, and you'll hear it to many different speakers. It's so simple. So what's between doing and not doing? Because the next question is, well, what do I need to do to maintain this?
Mhm.
What's
Well,
between
supposedly
doing?
there's no doer, is there?
Well, that's just another thought. What's between doer and non-doer?
Oops.
Oh, you're cutting out,
Um,
eh?
yeah, sorry. Is that
Your internet
um
connection? Okay.
I think I was just messing with my volume a bit.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. It's just very, very simple that it does not really require any kind of um doing or not doing. Because
mhm.
the mind now wants to be the non-doer, right?
Yeah,
And that's why that those practices that you're doing were not working, right? Because you're trying to be the non-doer, but it's just you trying to be the non-doer.
yeah,
Yeah. Or you trying to be the no self or the no me. It's still a mind fabrication. So to beat the mind that's not quite there, know the way that it functions, right? It just creates opposite
yeah,
to maintain the illusion that there's something in the past, in the future. Therefore, it you keep on missing on what's present. So what's present cannot really be said, cannot be known, because it's not a language. It's not a thought. Um it's not a belief.
yeah.
Yeah, that simple. So again, what are you without language at this moment?
Just this
Yeah,
presence.
yeah. I had a person that had agoraphobia, but his was severe. He could not get out of the house.
Yeah,
Yeah, for like a decade or more than a decade. Now he's traveling. He bought a bus, like a van, that he converted into a music studio, um, and he's just traveling all around. And it's
I got over mine quite a while back.
what's that?
Uh, I got over mine quite a while back. So
Oh, you did. Okay, that's good.
yeah, yeah,
That's good. That must have been tough to get over.
yeah. It was worthwhile though, definitely.
Yeah,
Um, but it's good old personal development was good for something.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's good. Whereabouts are you, Nick?
I'm in Solihull in the United Kingdom.
Okay,
How about yourself? Is it
Canada.
Canada?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Toronto, Canada. Yeah. So
nice.
also known as the center of the universe, according to Torontonians. But
What's
yeah.
your story then?
Um, I would say the same thing, when I was younger. I don't belong here. I even asked my parents, why did you bring me here? I was really, really small, right? And um, quite a thinker at a very young age, and pursued financial wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had some stability financially, I said, there's got to be something better than this, or I don't belong here. So I went to spirituality, you know, um, dedicated my entire life in seeking, basically. And
Hmm.
then something happened. I saw everything as is. And then I decided to become a spiritual teacher. I was teaching meditation for 10 years. And then when I got to the top of that, I was like, there's got to be something better than enlightenment.
Hmm.
um, and the pursuit of that, right? Because then it just never ends. Then there'll be someone that you think is more enlightened or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then I fell apart as a teacher, many different, And then
Mm.
I stepped down as a spiritual teacher, suffered for quite a bit. And then one day I was just DJing, and I was about to have a panic attack. So I went DJing, and everything cleared up just like right now.
Yeah.
And then luckily I had a space that I didn't have to talk to anybody. So for a whole month, I was just quiet, you know what I'm saying? And just everything just was quiet. And then a couple more years, and I came back to um, Canada, Ontario, and just kept on unfolding and unfolding until I was an accidental speaker of non-duality. And I ended up leaving my day job. And then I've been doing this for a few years, almost 4 years, actually, probably 4 years now because it's March. And
Mm.
yeah, my YouTube channel is 3 years old now. And that's basically it. And then I love doing this, kind of like, just showing people how simple it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost too simple.
it's too simple. Yeah. They're like, where's the do I need to follow you? So I don't have any followers. I have friends.
That's the thing. Like, I've watched one or two of your videos, and it annoys me the way people get it. And yet, when I watch the video, I don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
But now, here within like 5 minutes, you're like, oh, boom, there you go. And I'm like,
Yeah. And then if we release this video, somebody will be annoyed at you. They're like, oh.
yeah,
But yeah, it's that simplicity is just so, because you know what? People will always say that non-duality is unthinkable, undescribable. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just take you to that place where you can't really describe it, right? And it's
yeah,
just simple. What if you just take away the language? What if you go in between two opposites? Then you see that there's really no opposites, because the opposites are fabrication, made up. But there's something here that cannot be made up, and it's not what you think it is, right?
mm,
But it's always here. It's always been here. This has never gone away. You just
yeah,
think that, when you were a baby, what this is, what was predominant. And then when we started learning language, and then the thoughts become predominant. And the
yeah,
moment that that feeling grows, that belief that keeps on growing, that there's got to be something missing. There's got to be something that, if you notice, it's just a trick of the mind to go to the next, to the next, to the next, when there's
yeah,
really no mind to even go to the next. It's just almost like it's like a mirage, right? The closer that you look at it, you're like, oh, it's not quite there. You step back again, you're like, oh, it's there. It's an
mm,
illusion, basically, right? So, and then to break the illusion is just to see that the illusion, that there's really no illusion. The veil is quite simple, right? If you take away the words, then what do you have left? There's just an investment in that I, right? I think, I feel. But if you take away the I, then you're just like a baby, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like innocently looking at whatever is happening, and cry when it's hungry, laughs when it's happy. It's simple. So it's just going back to that simplicity, right?
yeah,
Yeah. It's easy to get so caught up in non-duality because there's so many different kinds now. Who's telling the truth? You know what I'm saying? Who's the clearest? Who's got it and everything? No one's got it.
mm. I think that was the thing. Some of them had like hierarchies. They were like, oh, I'm a learned teacher. You need to, and you're like, hang on a minute. We're all supposed to be equal, and we're all
Yeah.
supposed to be
Well, if
God.
you
And
look at the learned teacher, all they really have is words that they believe in.
yeah,
Yeah. It's just another belief system. It's the same thing as a priest or a pastor, from a Mormon church or a
yeah,
Jehovah's Witness. They're convinced that what they're talking about is true. But does
mm,
anyone really get free from that conviction? Or are they just stuck in more belief systems?
mm,
And some of them become cult leaders. You know what I'm saying? That yeah, the simplicity is so alarming because it's not something for the mind.
And this is the
And
thing, I can feel it. Um, there's still the mind coming in. It's like, how do I make this go deeper?
yeah, yeah,
How
of
do I
course.
keep this?
Yeah. Well, if you start seeing everything as just a story,
Yeah,
everything as just kind of like a entertainment purposes only, then the mind would want to go deeper. But if there's no next, then it's right here.
yeah,
Yeah. And then and again, this is just a story, right? And as the days go by, you know what I'm saying? When the identification starts shifting slowly, gradually to the presentness, right? Then the thoughts about the past or the future starts diminishing. It's like a slow retirement of the mind because the mind wants to do something,
yeah.
and it can only use the linear form of from here to there, basically, right?
Hmm.
How do I get there? And how do I get there means that there's a past that they're relying on. But if you take away the past and the future, it's already here. That simple. Yeah. So the thoughts about how do I deepen is irrelevant, really.
Hmm.
And again, the trap is if you think that you got it, then you will lose it.
Okay,
Yeah. So what's the what's in between I got it and I lost it?
just this.
Mhm. And then and this is just a story, right? So it's been 8 years. So it just keeps on getting clearer and clearer
Hmm.
because I'm not looking for it to get clearer and clearer. I'm not
Yeah,
identified with the delusion of the mind of where it should get to when it's right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know what I need to ask now.
Go ahead.
Don't know if there's anything I
You
need
don't
to
need to.
ask.
Okay. So what do you do for work? We'll just talk. I just wanted to show
Um,
you that the reason I go into this banters and whatever, what I'm saying, is just to show you that it's always here. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, it's not a position. So what do you do for work, Nick? What do you do?
I'm a
What are you doing?
chef.
You're a chef.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
What kind of
Chef.
cuisine?
Just standard cuisine at the moment. I've done French cookery. I've done Italian cookery.
Hmm.
Uh, just in a normal job at the moment.
Yeah,
Uh, trying to change.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a job for now. In a
You're not
time where
enjoying it.
people, pardon?
You're not enjoying it.
I've done it a bit longer than I thought I was supposed to do it for. But I do enjoy it, but there's some great people,
Yeah.
have some good laughs. It's not what I wanted to do. I've never known what I wanted to do because I've always
Hmm.
felt like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I've always just kind of, I don't know, never felt satisfied, I
Hmm.
guess. Uh, but it's been good to me. It's been a good job to
Yeah.
me.
How long
So,
have you done it?
20 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
No, yeah.
So do
Try to
you
escape
work in
it.
a restaurant somewhere near the city?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nicer hours after working like 14 hours days. I can't do that anymore. So,
Yeah, I used to work as a server, and oh, I also did the dishes when I was younger.
yeah.
They call it the dish pig, right? So I was a dish pig.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's stressful. It's stressful.
Mm.
And then I became a prep cook, like just peeling
Yeah.
onions and peeling carrots and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Um, and then became a server. Then I
Yeah.
became a bartender. These were like in my early 20s and everything.
Mm.
Um, I don't think I could have been a chef because I like eating. I would have probably eaten more than cooked, right? So, but I
It's one of the
love, I
perks of the
love,
job.
what's that?
It's one of the perks of the job.
Yeah. And I was always the best friend of the chef because one time I really loved sushi and Japanese cuisine, right? So I ended up working as a server in a Japanese restaurant, even if I had a really good job already. I work
Yeah.
part time so I can get fed some some Japanese cuisine, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, how's the weather over there?
Um, well, I've had a whole week of nice weather, which is kind of unheard of in the UK.
Oh wow,
I think it's a bit of
wow.
a miracle.
Here it
Uh,
hasn't been the same. You know what I'm saying? It's been snowstorm after snowstorm.
yeah.
You know what? For
Wow.
some odd reason, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was just
Yeah.
yeah, it was something that I didn't think I was going to enjoy, but I love walking, you know, and the snow was just so beautiful, right? Like imagine it felt like winter wonderland for a couple of months, right? So
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh,
But the
that's
snow
cool.
sometimes were up to your hip, you know what I'm saying? They would plow the snow and it was hard to walk and everything. But
Oh,
there's this
wow.
beautiful, beautiful park that I walk at, you know, and it was just so, you know, cold. It was minus sometimes it was like minus 30 at one point here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I could
Celsius.
deal with that.
What's that?
I don't think I could deal with that. It's cold enough over here.
What's the temperature like over there?
Oh, I'm not sure. It is. Usually should say on my laptop, but I'm not sure. I think it's actually kind of warm and it's like 9 degrees, I think,
Oh
which,
wow, that's pretty good.
yeah, I've had a week off and I've had amazing weather.
Oh nice.
But it's
So
just, so
no, no, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's just been so like dark and grey for like the last 6 months. So
Yeah, yeah. Do you usually travel somewhere?
I used to travel to try and find myself, and then after a while, I just kind of gave up on that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So you used to
Uh,
go to retreats basically, right? So
I've never done like retreats or anything like that, to
no.
be honest. No, I just used to travel.
Okay.
Just
Just
even
solo
go on my
traveling.
own. Yeah, even on my own, I'd just book a week, just get on a flight, go places. So I
Oh,
think it's after being agoraphobic, being stuck in. As
yeah.
soon as I got out of that, I was like, right, I'm off.
That's
So,
that's that's what my the guy that my friend now Marco, right? He comes often visits me now, right? He can't seem to stay at home anymore. So
mm,
he ended up getting one of those like a van that he converted into a living space.
yeah,
So he's just traveling to when it gets warmer he'll come back here back in the east again, right? But right now he's in the west coast because it's warmer there. So he said he can't seem to stay at home anymore. He can't see.
same with
It looked
me.
like a prison, basically, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I always go for walks now. Even doesn't matter the weather. I just need to get out and
yeah,
go places.
yeah,
Just can't stand being sat at home.
yeah. What I've noticed with people that I've been talking to, and again, you know what? This is not like, this is just a story as well. Is that the anxiety lessens because you're not thinking about the next anymore. There's no more neurosis about the next. I
Yeah.
used to have severe anxiety, and that I hid very, very well, and um, I didn't even notice that it was gone until like a year, maybe 10 months to a year, you know, and I
Yeah.
was rummaging through my old stuff and I found old Ativan pills. I don't know if you've taken them before.
Mm.
Anti-anxiety medication. It's hard to get. It was like an emergency thing that I used to hide right when I was about to have a panic attack is to do that. But yeah, it's been quiet.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
even I live in a city and I'm still very quiet. You know, it's just well, of course I DJ loud music, but what I mean is that the um the head is so quiet, right? It's just so quiet. It's almost like the mind used to, do overtime. You know what I'm saying? It was just always working, always gonna like it's like an ER, you know, like in a hospital, it's just nonstop, like, and
Yeah.
then yeah, just just like right now, where's the mind?
Mm.
What's between mind and no mind?
Yes.
Hmm.
I think that's what brought me here as well. I know it's a story, but I got so frazzled and burnt out because I'm constantly thinking about the next, the next, the next.
Yeah,
I just kind of like I wasn't. I always thought about surrender and stuff like that,
yeah.
but I, you always like, how do you do it? I kind of think so many different people saying, giving you 10 different versions of the same thing that you're like, I've
Yeah.
no idea.
So
Uh,
who were you following prior to, who were you listening to prior to getting seeing my videos aside from David Bingham?
um, there's quite a few non-dual people popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, so there's Colette Whitman, who's I think part of David Bingham's.
Hmm.
I think David Bingham woke her up. Um, there's lots of AI generated non-dual stuff now,
Oh yeah, there is, yes.
which I mean, it gets some good message across, but obviously does nothing to actually wake you up. But
Yeah.
I guess it's
Well,
kind
word can
of,
only take you so far, right? It can give you an idea
yeah,
about waking up, right? It can
it's
give you a
kind of,
concept, yeah, of what it is.
yeah, it's good, but it's kind of mental masturbation a bit.
It is, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's mind porn.
yeah. So it's stuff like that, basically, for quite a while. Um, I read, was it Who Am I Meditation by Ramaji?
Okay.
I did David Hawkins Letting Go for ages and the release technique,
Yeah.
um, which I mean did help,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. If
very
it helps in the
slightly.
dream, why not? You know what I'm saying? If it helps in the
Yeah,
story, why not? Right? So I did
well,
a
that's
whole
the
bunch
thing.
of those too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had people drop into my life, go, here, read this book. I'm like, oh, thanks. And then they'll disappear. I'm like, won't read it for about 6 years. And then I'll pick it up and go, oh, I wish you would have read this 6 years ago. Um, so yeah. Other than that, just anything that comes along.
Yeah,
Even people
yeah.
kind of into the occult and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I don't
Yeah,
think about that.
yeah. What kind of occult did you listen to at one point?
And it was all, I don't know. I didn't go down the whole Aleister Crowley like invoke demons kind
Yeah.
of route. But it was more Kundalini, like
Okay.
Kundalini awakening. I did
Okay.
Sahaja yoga as well.
Which one?
But people are telling me, I know it's all different. People are telling me like, oh, yoga invokes demons and stuff like this, and you're like, well, I don't know
Yeah.
whether to believe that, but it's still, I don't know. We
Yeah.
get lied to a lot these days.
Yeah. Well, there's so
So
many different kind of like there's just so many. It's just
you just get to
there's
a
just
point
so
like,
much, right?
yeah, I don't know what to believe. So
Yeah. And that's what it is, right? Because there's just too much stuff out there. And
mm,
it's just all trying to say the same thing, but it's all contradicting at the same time. I don't know if you noticed
yeah,
that. Right? There's just so much contradictory of what's happening out there. And it just becomes this constant, like next. So it feeds the next basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You
we're living in crazy times anyway. So,
yeah, it is crazy, huh? It's just what's happening.
but I think that's hopefully to facilitate people awakening. I don't know.
It's just a story as well. Everything is
Yeah,
already awake. Yeah. There's just
yeah.
this
Oh, yeah, of course. But
there's just this idea that it's not quite there yet. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
It's just a whole bunch of ideas that tends to create this narrative that like if you yeah, if you look at what's happening, if you take away the thought, because what you think about others is just another fabrication. Even if you take away the thought, are there really others? If you take away the language, is there even reality?
I was just going to ask about this.
Yeah. And it's mind blowing that there's no mind, really, if you look at it, or what's between mind and no mind. It's almost
Mm,
like a spell or a trance that we're in, right? We're thinking that, we were born, decades ago and we'll die decades later.
mm.
So what if the language is just the illusion, right? You take away the language. This doesn't make sense. Even this doesn't make sense is still also a language.
So, I, yeah, my mind's trying to come in and I'm trying to stop it. Um,
Yeah. If you look at any question is a fabrication, so the answer will also be made up. It's just the mind trying to survive, basically, right? If you answer the question, then it creates this continuum, basically, that there is a past and there's a future. So what's but if you go between the questions and the answer, what's there?
so,
Mhm.
wow, that's crazy.
There's a person before you earlier. We um we talked for 2 hours and then we
Mm,
barely said anything because there's just nothing to say,
mm.
right? And he goes, I'm a very talkative person, but can we not talk right now? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
I'm not the most talkative person, but I'm kind of struggling. My
Yeah.
mind, my mind's coming up, but then
Yeah.
I notice it,
Yeah.
and it just
Well, it's like you're trying. It's like the mind is not even there. It's like retired, right? It's kind of like you caught a lie, and then we'll keep on trying to negotiate that that it's real.
yeah.
They will try to convince you over and over and over again, right? Because
Mm.
it's almost like how do you say it? It has been your reality for a few for a few decades now, right? So, but see this again without thoughts. Then what do you see? What do you see without any words? If you cannot use words, what are you looking at?
Mm. Enjoying the silence, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, my favorite Depeche Mode song. Do you know this song
Mhm.
by Depeche Mode? Enjoy the silence.
Oh yeah,
I said it's my favorite Depeche Mode song.
yeah.
Yeah,
You say
Rick.
you're a DJ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What type of music do you play
I
usually?
play everything, but I play whatever's current, right? So I play a lot of bass house. I play a lot of tech house sometimes.
Yeah,
I even play dubstep, right? And the UK is a really great dance scene.
yeah.
There's a lot of great producers that come from the UK. So yeah, I used to yeah, from the UK, I love garage before and two step. And then if you remember that, from
I used to like I used to hate in a kitchen when someone would play like 8 hours of garage music, and
oh
then as I've got older, I like really like it. But I think it's because I was forced into a confined space listening to it
the garage music, right?
to escape. Then as you get older, it's more classic, and you're like, "Oh, I love
Oh, it's
this."
so classic now, right?
Yeah,
I think I was I found an old garage UK garage playlist like that I've had for quite a while and
yeah.
played it. I'm like, these are so good. I should play some of this again.
It's timeless,
Yeah.
though, isn't it?
Mhm. Like, I was such a snob with a lot of pop music for quite a bit, right? And when especially in the 2000s when the Backstreet Boys came, I'm like, I can't stand that and everything. But sometimes, I was saying, I don't do wedding DJs. I've only done maybe five
Mm.
weddings, just friends basically, right? I'm not a wedding DJ. the last wedding DJ that I played at, I actually enjoyed some of those pop songs. I'm like, ah, they're actually not bad, 20 years later, of course, right?
Yeah. It's when you're younger, you're just trying to keep an image of like, oh yeah, I'm cool and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I
And then
only
you
like
get
I
older, you're
like
like,
I only like alternative rock and dance music, basically, right?
yeah,
Underground dance music. So anything that was mainstream at that time, I was allergic to. I'm like, oh no, I don't know. But now,
yeah,
you know what? I enjoy it. Why not, right? So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you watch the show The Bear?
I don't watch TV to be honest.
Okay.
Trying to avoid TV.
I watched I don't really watch a lot, but there's a show called The Bear. It's about a chef.
Mm,
And it's quite good actually. I've only seen a couple of episodes.
yeah,
But it mimics what the stress in the kitchen basically, right? So and the way
yeah,
that they do it, right? And it's quite fascinating. Um it's a lot of confidence to be a chef, right? So
yeah,
a lot of skills and confidence basically, and to be able to kind of like get a kitchen running in a
yeah,
really kind of like tip top shape kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys used to have a Gordon Ramsay go over there, didn't you? Do kitchen nightmares and stuff.
I didn't really watch that to be honest with you, but I like I'm not really into the reality show that much, you know what I'm saying?
No.
So yeah. But he's quite a character, right? So but this show, it's about this guy that's and he does it really well, that is um a bit of a perfectionist, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's trying to get a crew together. He's trying to save a restaurant basically.
I
It's
think I've
quite
heard
good.
of it, but
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the simplicity of this is just it's always here.
Hmm.
The mind will make you think that it's not here or there's something more than this, but you're going to start seeing now. Um, it's almost like one day you got tricked that, that I don't belong here. And then that's what prompted the seeking. But when you see that that's just a thought trying to go to the next, then that statement doesn't even make sense. It's just a belief. Unless you're an alien, and you came from the planet Sirius or whatever. Just kidding. ET phone home. I don't know if you remember that old
Yeah,
movie. Then you'll be looking for UFOs. You know what I'm saying? It's the idea that you are you, right?
yeah.
And um, and then you're trying to go to know you. So what's between you and not you?
Just this again.
Yeah, what's the idea about I? What's between I and not I? Because it's so easy to get caught up in those ideas
Hmm.
about I or not I. If you know what I'm saying, right? It's just an idea. It's just a belief. It's just a belief that becomes solidified. So you think that that's you, but you is just another thought, and even not you is just another thought. But it's quite tricky, right?
Yeah,
Because that's all the basis that you have is you. So the whole fabrication is maintained by the idea of you. But there's a you when you go to deep sleep. Is there a you or an I when you black out drinking? There's an I when there's dementia. There's an I when there's a coma. There's an I when you're just doing something. For example, when you're chopping, prepping and all that kind of stuff like that. There's no I. It's just what seems to be occurring. So again, what is life without a you or the thought of you? It's right here.
Nice and peaceful
Mhm,
for a
yeah.
change. It's a strange feeling.
So how long were you seeking then, Nick? Like
About 10 years.
10 years? Okay. Yeah. Don't worry, you won't be 75 and, thinking that I should have booked that session. I should have booked that session with Emerson. Now he's 95.
Mm.
And he's deaf. In between what? What's beautiful with this one is just walking around and seeing what this is without words, right?
Mm.
Looking at the nature without naming it. So how many of those videos of one-on-ones have you seen?
Two, I think.
Oh wow. Some people usually wait like 20, 30 videos, you know what I'm saying, before they book something.
I think I've consumed enough YouTube for like,
Yeah, I think you're cut
but so
off, Nick.
so like, books, video courses, everything.
You
It's
basically
like,
can like, okay, enough of this, right? Kind of like let's just end this.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. That's
it's just,
usually the audience that I get is people that kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've wasted so many times, right? So I'm usually the last resort speaker that they go to. They're like, okay, I guess I'll just book him, I guess, and
yeah.
yeah.
But even people that are awake seem to need to make content. So it's just like, surely you just need one video. If you could get it across, you just need like one video.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Uh, Then you have people just going like, "Oh, you can't explain it," and all, it's all very intangible and all this kind of like,
Here's 100 videos about how intangible and unexplainable
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
just yeah. So I mean, I saw your videos. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do your session because I'm just
Th-
fed up
th-
of playing this.
this is going to be the same thing over and over again now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like releasing the videos because there is it's I want to show that it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing over and over again, right? It's not the same because the tendency of a lot of teachers and speakers is they try to put this in a box,
Mm.
right? Put some prerequisites into this, right? Or put some barriers into it. Either they'll say that there's a contracted energy, or there's many levels to this and everything and all that kind of stuff. But it just proposes a next over and over and over again. In the story, in the narrative, there is a natural unfolding of this. It does go deeper and deeper, right? So I have people that I've talked to more than 6 months or a year ago that calls me up and tells me, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that." But it's also unnoticeable. You know what I'm saying? For some people,
Yeah.
Until one day you're like, okay, you know what? I haven't had an anxiety attack for the past year. That kind of thing.
I
I'm not seeking anymore like I'm painting or I changed careers or whatever, right? So this is just um whatever seems to be in front of you, it's seemingly going to bring in front of you that's a barrier to peace and happiness, basically. So what do you think you would want to do if you don't want to do chef anymore? Do you have an idea?
I did personal training for a bit,
Oh,
but
nice.
I didn't believe in myself,
Yeah.
annoyingly. So,
Did you
and
bulk up?
put him.
Did you bulk up?
I can't really bulk up. I eat everything under the sun, and yet I still
Okay.
quite skinny, which
Yeah.
is a blessing, I guess. And I used to do body weight training,
Okay.
so I wouldn't really get like massive. But I loved it. But I just didn't believe in myself at the time.
Yeah.
It's always kind of like I'd struggle to ask for money, and
Yeah.
I guess it's like low self-worth.
Hmm.
But I look back now and I'm still like, oh, I wish I would have done it. I still can, so
You still can. Yeah. You're still a young
yeah.
guy. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
But yeah, I do love it.
Yeah. Or start doing something on the side and then it starts taking over,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is kind of like what I did with this one is I did this on the side and it just started taking over.
No, thanks for waking me up. Yeah.
Just don't get stuck in the idea that you woke up. What's between
Yeah.
waking up? You know what I'm saying? What's between you and not you?
Hmm.
What's between I got it and I lost it? So it's almost like a free falling. The mind wants to land something, but yeah, you're welcome. I did nothing. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm going to stop recording here. I'm going to ask you a question.